I decided to sign up for the draft. I didn't want to volunteer for the Navy or the Marines, but I wanted to be in the Army. The reason I wound up in the machine guns, I guess, I like to take tests, so I scored quite highly. They said, boy, you're going to be #1 gunner. And not knowing what that meant at the time, being stupid, I said, oh, great, you know.
We spoke to Dan Gillespie. He was a staff sergeant during World War II. He was part of the Rainbow Division.
Following the German withdrawal, the Rainbow Infantry helped stop the last German offensive in the West near Strasbourg.
I think the best history you learn from somebody who's lived it, as opposed to reading from a book.
You're in Huntington Beach, California. You can almost smell the ocean as soon as you get near it. I'm a family of 4 kids, and we grew up in Eagle Rock, California. Most of my graduating class from high school was of an age where they were signing up for the draft. We were influenced, I'm sure, by the pulp magazines at that point in time, and the reading was thrilling. The thought was that, gee, I'd like to get involved in that.
The name, 42nd Rainbow Division. The 42nd Division contributed to the victory in Europe. Nowadays, the hallowed insignia of the rainbow is worn by the crack 42nd Division of the New York National Guard.
We had a number of fights with the Germans en route. Wurzburg was a major city, but it was almost 98% destroyed by the Air Force. We faced a number of crack units. When you set up a machine gun, you become an object of hatred, and you can't blame them. That's where they suffer most of their losses. We did end up killing a lot of Germans. I'm not proud of that. They were coming at us just as though they were either drunk out of their mind or doped up or something, because they kept charging right into the teeth of a machine gun.
People don't realize how hard it is to take another person's life. Once you've done it, you don't want anybody else to go through what you went through.
It really throws you, particularly if you've never seen a dead person before. I think we lost approximately 15,000 dead, probably another 40,000 wounded. I can remember to this day very vividly, one of the corpses was upright on his knees, waving an arm, and died in that position. When I think of it, and I try to think of it, on an anniversary day of that fight, and have a mass said for him, that's really it.
Most vets don't talk about their experiences. You know, you're opening up old wounds, and they're having to talk about things that they saw and they didn't want to see.
He has to relive that every time he says that. And so sharing that with us.
He's an incredible man.
The route of their advance headed directly toward the most famous of all German horror prisons, the concentration camp of Dachau.
It was actually our company that was first to cross the line into Dachau. We were the first division to capture a in Bean concentration camp.
It is known that from 1941 to 1944, up to 30,000 people were entombed here at one time.
Once you experience something like that, it's burned into your brain. You carry that for the rest of your life.
The first thing that they asked for was food. They had been starved. You open the doors and they couldn't walk out. We had to help them out. We gave a walkthrough to the civilian population of Dachau. That was the first time the citizens themselves were allowed in. Some of the citizens actually took it into their head to lynch the mayor. They hung him that very day, and that really ended the war for us.
Back then, people actually fought each other. Nowadays, you're getting shot at and you don't know where it's coming from.
The guys that have to go and fight in Iraq, they can't see an enemy, I guess, in many cases there. At least we could see the Germans. The Germans stood up and came at us, and we stood up and went at them.
It's so profound. The way he spoke of it with the IEDs and talking to a lot of young men that have to do that, it shows the wisdom of a combat veteran.
The war we went to in Iraq was an unjust war by definition. If you stop and look at what they admit to in terms of exterminating civilians. As somebody that had soldiered against people, I knew what a soldier was, and I knew how he must have felt.
The stuff that he went through at such an early age, most people don't accomplish any of those things throughout their entire life, and this guy did it within the first 20 years.
A survivor of World War II, thank you for your sacrifices made. Staff Sergeant Daniel P. Gillespie, Local 502 and the Transport Workers Unions proudly to present this to you.
It has been a real pleasure to see a group turn out to hear an old man talk about what happened 1,000,000 years ago. And I hope none of you have to ever have kids or be yourself exposed to anything like that particular war was.
To get to hear that firsthand, that was a really great opportunity.